Welcome to this Sauce Labs customer conversation. My name is Abigail Kurtzman, and I'm an Associate Product Marketing Manager with Sauce Labs. My guest today is Dennis Carlos, a Senior QA Lead at Domuso. Domuso is a company that specializes in being a platform that manages rental payment and communication. Dennis is here today to talk to us about how using Sauce Labs has made Domuso a more efficient and digitally confident, productive platform. Can you talk a little bit about what your company does and kind of how your work on this quality assurance is making for a better customer experience?
We're a rental payment app. We offer access for renters or property managers to log in and manage payments. A major access point is obviously the web app, but also now we're getting into the mobile app for both the resident and the managers. So we're able to automate logging as a resident, making payments, and leverage API calls to create payments.
Something that we talk about a lot is just the concept of digital confidence. Paying your rent is definitely an important aspect, and having something that obviously works for that is definitely super important.
Yeah, we're touching a lot of money, and so people, if their money doesn't get through, then people get angry.
What was the reason for implementing something like Sauce Labs? What were y'all doing previously with your testing process before Sauce Labs?
Yeah, so I believe we were just kicking off on like a jump box, and we were running, I think, the automation in a single thread. So it's one test case after another. And so it was really long. It was like 3 hours, something crazy. And we would just run it like at midnight every night. We couldn't really see the UI, but we just knew it was running. And then we just look at the results in the morning, basically. That was what we had before. And then when we brought on Sauce Lab, it was a great thing because now we could think about ramping up parallel executions of test cases and actually being able to see the video evidence of the run.
And in terms of what kind of applications are you working on? Is this just web, or is this mobile and web, or can you speak a little bit to what those look like?
Most of the past, we've heavily been on the web app, but we began to dig into the mobile using the mobile simulator, and we're able to execute our automation in the same way and check out the video in Sauce Lab.
Are there any kind of measurable changes that you've seen with implementing Sauce? Like, for example, like test run time, like shortened or anything like that? What has been kind of the aftermath of having Sauce?
The execution time was a big benefit. We were able to run up to 8 threads in parallel. And so I think we have a certain number of VMs that we can do that like twice on 2 executions. So we're able to run 30 minutes to 45 minutes. We're pretty happy with the number of test cases that we're running in that amount of time. The test execution was way too long before. We could have went into some parallel with some headless and hoping it worked out, but it's pretty tricky when you're not using dedicated VMs that are spun up for each test case. Instead of just trying to launch multiple browsers on the same machine, you obviously can't have a video evidence because they're all laying on top of each other, and sometimes things can get a little wonky.
And of course, just like you were saying, anything that's also giving you more insight with that video playback and, those other aspects as well, it sounds like it's made that a lot more efficient for you. In terms of usage, can you talk about like your team structure and like implementation and things like that?
We're a pretty small QA group. We're just a team of 3, including myself. We all have access to the automation, and so we're all executing the automation ourselves. Depending on how much resources we have to run the automation, we'll just run our test cases in single threads, or if we make a major change in the automation or a major change in the code, then we're going to run our full automation suite, and we can run that whole regression suite and check Sauce Lab and see what's going on, how it looks. We're all getting involved in the automation. So every time we have a new feature, we're doing that debate of, is there an automation candidate in this new feature? And if not, regardless, can we leverage the automation regression for making sure that this feature has a quality in it? We have the archive of the video history. And so we can dig into the past and see, wait, what did it look like a couple of months ago? Did we miss some code or something that changed? And we can go verify the video evidence of, we could say, we're pretty sure it looked this way a certain amount of time ago. And we can go in and actually show the evidence of it looking a different way.
And have you found that adding that parallelization, but also having that video playback, are you finding that you have like less bugs in your test, or are there mistakes that aren't being made as much since you do have that video playback?
That's one of the major targets of debugging, basically. So we have our log, obviously, and we also taking screenshots of the video evidence. Every failed step takes a screenshot of the VM of Sauce Lab. And even if we don't want to dig into the video, we at least have screenshots on the failures. We're either going to look at the screenshots, we're going to look into the video evidence, we're going to look at the steps that failed. The log could say one thing, and it could throw you down a wrong path because you say, "Oh, it says this error," but there may be something that failed like a step before. And so you could see in the UI what actually happened before that error was thrown. Quick and easy ways to see what's going on.
Are there any kinds of changes that you're hoping to achieve with Sauce Labs, or even just within your own team that's not Sauce Labs related?
Yeah, we're trying to at least identify post-release testing with automation, be running execution, but more selective test cases. And that's kind of our goal right now is selective test cases when a new feature comes versus just running a whole regression. But also we want to run the whole regression maybe at some point further along in the life cycle. And then after we release, just integrate the regression, the automation more at different points in the life cycle of a feature.
Is there anything in terms of your position in particular that Sauce has kind of helped make it a little bit easier? Maybe that's like a little bit different from your teammates, or, anything that's been more helpful from your perspective that we haven't really covered?
I was pushing about a year ago that we needed like a few more VMs to be in a sweet spot. We have developers that were running automation on their environments, and most of the time we're not getting like 3 developers running at the same time, but plenty of times we were getting where like 2 developers are running at the same time. 8 threads happening twice is a total of 16. So we were just short of that. I think we were maybe like at 13 or something like that. So if 2 people were running, then we started to share, lose runtime in that. They're kind of queued up waiting for the next free one. So we hit the sweet spot, and I think we have a little bit more also that if the QA testers need to have like a single VM that they can hit while automation is also running in parallel.
Is there anything else that you think is important to note just about your experience with Sauce Labs, or just your company's changes since implementing it, or anything like that?
We've just been overly satisfied with the VMs, and we're always are thinking like, is this always the best tool? That's always a question of the cost benefit of it. And so it always comes up every once in a while, and overall we've always been satisfied and it always passes the test. And so we keep using it.
Well, we love to hear that. Well, thank you so much for your time, Dennis. I really appreciate it. Be sure to visit saucelabs.com to learn more about live, automated, and continuous testing for web and mobile apps on the world's largest cloud-based test platform. Thanks for listening, and happy testing.